As the stars above Earth flickered like the last embers of a dying fire, Captain Elena Myrov stood on the observation deck of the Invictus, the cold metal beneath her feet resonating with the thrum of the engines preparing for launch. She gazed out at the sprawling shipyard orbiting Mars, where the Invictus was berthed, a titanic silhouette against the cosmos, bristling with quantum turrets and shimmering with a force field that danced like aurora over its hull. Today, she wasn't just a captain. She was a pioneer steering humanity's fate among the stars. Yet, as the gravity of her mission pressed down on her, a cocktail of dread and exhilaration stirred within, knowing the galaxy viewed Earth's ambition through wary eyes. Earth had become a fledgling member of the Galactic Union, a vast conclave of civilizations each with their own agendas and histories of cosmic dominion. The Invictus, with its sleek design and deadly arsenal, was Earth's response to a galaxy that whispered promises of friendship in public and plotted rivalries in shadow. It was more than a ship. It was a declaration of Earth's readiness to claim its stake in the cosmic order. Elena's fingers traced the glassy barrier that separated her from the vacuum of space, her reflection a ghostly overlay on the stars. Raised in the regimented confines of a military family stationed on the lunar base, she was no stranger to the isolation that space imposed, nor to the burden of command. But commanding the Invictus was different. It was a testament to Earth's technological prowess and her own culmination of years of relentless dedication and sacrifice. Her mission was clear: showcase the might of the Invictus on its maiden voyage through the strategically crucial Alcyone system, ensuring that Earth was not just seen, but respected or feared. As the final checks were broadcasted over the ship's intercom, Elena turned from the stars to face her reflection squarely. Her dark eyes, usually a well of stoic resolve, now flickered with the fire of anticipation. This mission could bridge star systems in cooperation or scorch them in conflict. Whispers of unease among her crew reached her ears, fears of the unknown, of becoming a target. Elena knew that leadership was not just about strategy and orders, it was about inspiring belief in those who followed you into the unknown. "Captain Myrov, all systems are green. We are ready to launch on your command," came the crisp voice of her executive officer through the calm. Stepping away from the observation deck, her boots clanking assertively against the metal grates, Elena headed towards the bridge. Each step was a drumbeat, rallying her resolve. Today, they would set a course that could redefine Earth's destiny in the galaxy. As the doors to the bridge slid open with a hiss, revealing the buzz of officers at their stations under the glow of holographic displays, Elena took her place at the helm. "Let's show the galaxy what Earth can do." "Engage," she commanded, her voice steady, her resolve unshakable. The Invictus rumbled alive, as somewhere in the vast, starry ocean, the future awaited, ready to be written by those daring enough to steer their course through the stars. The Invictus slid through the void of space with the grace of a celestial phantom, its engines humming a low, powerful anthem that resonated through the hull. Stars streaked past the viewports like rain in a hurricane as the warp drive engaged, bending the very fabric of space around the ship. Captain Elena Myrov watched the universe blur into a tunnel of shifting lights from the bridge, a sight that never failed to stir a deep, awe-inspiring thrill in her heart. The maiden voyage of Earth's most formidable battleship had begun, and with it, the weight of her home planet's hopes and fears pressed upon her shoulders. As the Invictus emerged from warp in the Alcyone system, the expanse of space stretched out before them, speckled with the glittering lights of distant stars and the silhouetted shapes of planets and moons. The system was a hub of galactic travel and trade, making it a strategic point for showing the flag. The bridge was alive with activity. Officers relayed navigation data, sensor readings, and system checks in a symphony of orchestrated precision. "System scans are clear, Captain. No immediate threats detected in the vicinity," reported Lieutenant Harrow, the ship's chief sensor officer, his eyes flicking across the glowing panels. Elena nodded, her gaze fixed on the main screen that displayed the sprawling beauty of the Alcyone system. "Keep scanning. Let's not make any assumptions," she responded. Her mind was a battlefield of strategy, constantly calculating the next move, the potential risks, and the unforeseen consequences of their presence in this contested system. The mission was clear: navigate through key waypoints in Alcyone, each a statement of Earth's technological achievements and military strength. But as the Invictus approached the first waypoint, a small, unassuming moon orbiting a gas giant, the tranquility of the mission was abruptly shattered. "Captain, we're picking up an anomaly on the surface of the moon. It's a structure, possibly military." Harrow's voice cut through the hum of the bridge, tense and uncertain. Elena's heart skipped a beat. This was not part of the plan. "Visuals, now," she commanded, her voice slicing through the tension like a knife. The screen flickered and then displayed the moon's cratered surface, zooming in on a complex of buildings that bristled with the unmistakable geometry of defensive turrets and satellite dishes, a hidden military outpost. The room fell silent, every crew member holding their breath, every eye fixed on the screen. Identity. Elena's question was a whisper, a demand for answers. "It's Kralaxian, Captain. We must have triggered their perimeter sensors," Harrow replied, his voice a mix of worry and confusion. Kralaxians were known for their militaristic culture and expansive territorial claims, and stumbling upon one of their outposts could be seen as an invasion or a threat. The stakes of their mission had escalated in an instant, from a show of presence to a potential diplomatic crisis. Elena stood, her figure rigid against the backdrop of stars. "Communications, send a standard greeting and our navigational intent. Make it clear we are not here for conflict," she ordered, her mind racing through scenarios that could lead from this encounter. As the message was sent, the crew waited in tense anticipation. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, until finally, a response crackled through the communication system. "Invictus, this is the Kralaxian Outpost Commander. Your presence here is not welcomed. Withdraw immediately, or we will take defensive action." The threat was clear and uncompromising. Elena clenched her fists, feeling the weight of her decisions now more than ever. Withdrawing would show weakness and compromise the mission's objectives. Standing ground could lead to conflict. "Helm, set a course around the moon. Keep us out of their weapon range. Continue with the mission." "We're not looking to start a war," she decided, her voice firm, projecting confidence she fought to maintain. The Invictus adjusted its course, the moon's gravity tugging at its massive frame as it maneuvered gracefully through space. Elena watched the outpost shrink on the screen, a speck of danger in a sea of darkness, a reminder of the galaxy's fragile peace and the fine line she had to walk. This was no longer just a maiden voyage, it was a chess game on a cosmic scale, with Earth's future moves hidden among the stars. As the Invictus carved its path around the moon, leaving the menacing silhouette of the Kralaxian outpost in its wake, Captain Elena Myrov's mind raced with the ramifications of their unexpected encounter. The bridge of the Invictus was a crucible of tension, the air thick with unspoken fears and the heavy burden of potential conflict. "Maintain yellow alert. I want all sensors at maximum range and eyes on every shadow," Elena commanded, her voice echoing slightly off the cold, metallic walls of the bridge. The crew responded with quiet efficiency, their training kicking in, turning anxiety into action. The ship continued its journey through the Alcyone system, its presence no longer a silent testament to Earth's advancements but a blaring siren to the galaxy. News of the encounter spread through the ship like wildfire, and Elena knew it would soon reach beyond the metal confines of the Invictus to the ears of other civilizations. The Invictus approached the next waypoint, a bustling trade hub orbiting a vibrant blue planet, its rings glittering with the traffic of hundreds of ships from across the galaxy. Elena stood by the panoramic windows of the bridge, her gaze locked on the planet below. This was where the real test would come. How they handled this would set the tone for Earth's place among the stars. "Open channels to the station. Broadcast our credentials and peaceful intentions," Elena instructed her communications officer, her eyes never leaving the view outside. The response was almost immediate, a stark contrast to the hostility they had faced earlier. "Invictus, this is Station Harmony. We welcome you under the flag of the Galactic Union. Please dock at Bay 24. We are prepared to host your crew for diplomatic talks." Elena's shoulders tensed slightly at the mention of diplomacy. This was the part of captaincy that involved less of the stars and more of the chessboard. "Acknowledged, Station Harmony. We will proceed to Bay 24, she replied, her voice steady, masking the churn of her stomach. As the Invictus maneuvered towards the docking bay, the magnificence of Station Harmony unfolded before them. The station was a marvel of engineering, a spinning wheel of metal and light, its arms reaching out into space like the branches of a cosmic tree. The docking process was a ballet of thrusters and shields, and once completed, Elena prepared to lead her delegation to the diplomatic talks. Dressed in her formal uniform, her medals reflecting the light, she was not just a ship's captain but an ambassador of Earth. The delegation was met by Administrator Lycia, a being whose appearance was a tapestry of the galaxy's diversity, her skin a shimmering blue, her eyes wide and bright. "Captain Myrov, welcome to Harmony. Your ship is quite the symbol of Earth's aspirations," Lycia greeted, her voice musical, her hand extended in peace. "Thank you, Administrator. We hope it's a symbol of peace and progress," Elena responded, shaking the offered hand, feeling the subtle undercurrents of the Administrator's words. The talks took place in a room with a view of the stars, a constant reminder of the vastness they all shared. Discussions revolved around trade routes, technology exchanges, and the standard diplomatic assurances of goodwill. Yet, beneath the veneer of diplomacy, Elena sensed the unspoken questions about Earth's intentions and the Invictus's capabilities. As the meeting drew to a close, Lycia's parting words carried a weight that lingered in the air. "Captain, the galaxy is a place of wonders and dangers. Your journey is watched by many. Tread carefully." Returning to the Invictus, Elena felt the isolation of command more acutely than ever. As the ship undocked, leaving behind the artificial gravity of Harmony, the gravity of their situation seemed to grow heavier. Each star that passed by was a witness to their voyage, each planet a potential friend or foe. "Set course for the next waypoint," Elena ordered, her voice a mixture of resolve and weariness. The Invictus obeyed, slipping back into the silent river of space, its path illuminated by stars that held no allegiance but their own. As the Invictus resumed its voyage, Elena watched the stars, each one a beacon in the dark, a reminder of both the beauty and the perils of the unknown. This was their first true step into the galaxy, and the path was as fraught as it was full of promise. The vast emptiness of space stretched infinitely, a canvas of darkness punctuated by the distant gleam of stars and the soft glow of nebulae. Aboard the Invictus, the silence of the cosmos contrasted sharply with the growing unrest among the crew. News of their diplomatic encounter at Station Harmony and the tense standoff with the Kralaxian outpost had sown seeds of unease. Whispers filled the corridors, a mixture of fear and speculation about the potential consequences of their mission. Captain Elena Myrov felt the weight of command more acutely with each passing moment. She walked the narrow corridors of the Invictus, her presence a calming force amid the rising tide of concern. Her steps were measured, her expression composed, yet her mind raced with strategic calculations and contingency plans. "Captain," greeted Commander Tyrell, her second-in-command, as he joined her in stride. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed his concern. "The crew's anxious. They're picking up on the tension, and rumors about the Kralaxians aren't helping." Elena nodded, acknowledging the truth in his words. "Let's address it head-on. Organize a ship-wide meeting. It's time we reassure everyone and reinforce our mission objectives," she decided, her decision firm, aiming to quell the fears with transparency. Later that day, the crew gathered in the main assembly hall, a large space usually reserved for briefings and recreational gatherings. The hall buzzed with subdued conversations as crew members filed in, their faces a mosaic of the many worlds from which they hailed. Elena took the stage, her posture erect, her gaze sweeping over her crew. "This mission is not just a test of our ship but of our resolve. We've encountered challenges, yes, but let us remember why we're here. We are the vanguard of Earth's aspirations in the galaxy. Each of you plays a vital role in this. I trust in our mission, and I trust in each of you." Her words, clear and confident, resonated in the hall, and a quiet murmur of agreement followed. The meeting served to unify the crew, a reminder of their common purpose and the strength they had together. The Invictus continued its journey through the Alcyone system, moving towards its next waypoint, a remote mining colony on the edge of the system, known for its rich deposits of Hyperium, a rare mineral crucial for advanced hyperdrive technology. As the Invictus approached the colony, the tension on board shifted from internal concerns to the anticipation of further external complications. Elena stood on the bridge, watching as the colony grew larger on the main screen. The mining facility was a sprawling network of domes and tunnels, carved into an asteroid. Its defenses were minimal, nothing that could threaten the Invictus, but the strategic value of the mineral resources was not lost on her. "Open communications with the colony. Let's make sure they know we come as friends," Elena instructed. The response from the colony was swift and surprisingly warm. "Invictus, this is Colony Director Nils. We're aware of your mission and are honored to assist in any way we can." Relief washed over Elena, a rare moment of ease amidst the mission's challenges. "Director Nils, we appreciate your cooperation. We look forward to fostering a mutually beneficial relationship," she replied, her tone diplomatic yet genuinely pleased. Arrangements were made for the Invictus to dock at the colony, and a delegation from the ship was prepared to visit. Elena chose to lead the delegation herself, seeing it as an opportunity to strengthen new alliances and perhaps gather more information about the galactic sentiment towards Earth's emerging presence. As they toured the facility, Director Nils showcased the mining operations, explaining their processes and the applications of Hyperium. The tour was not just a display of hospitality, but a subtle negotiation of potential trade and support. However, as the tour concluded, An urgent message was relayed to Elena. Her expression hardened as she listened to the report from her communications officer. Captain, long-range sensors have picked up a Kralaxian fleet moving towards our position. It seems they haven't taken kindly to our presence in the system. The news was a cold splash of reality. The diplomatic successes of the day were overshadowed by the looming threat of a military confrontation. Elena thanked Director Nils for his hospitality but excused herself briskly, her mind already racing through the implications of the approaching fleet. Back aboard the Invictus, Elena convened with her senior officers, the atmosphere charged with urgency. We need to prepare for a possible engagement, but our primary goal remains avoiding conflict. Let's reinforce our defensive protocols and keep communication lines open, she instructed, her voice a beacon of calm in the storm. As the Kralaxian fleet drew nearer, the galaxy watched, and the crew of the Invictus braced themselves. The next hours would test not just the strength of their ship but the very ideals they sought to uphold. The darkness of space enveloped the Invictus, a silent sentinel drifting through the celestial sea. Aboard, tension crackled like static, palpable and dense as the crew braced for the imminent arrival of the Kralaxian fleet. Captain Elena Myrov stood resolute at the helm, her gaze locked on the main viewer which displayed the approaching silhouettes of Kralaxian warships, their hulls glinting menacingly under the distant sun. Visual range in T-minus 30 seconds, announced Lieutenant Harrow, his voice steady despite the underlying tension that gripped the bridge. The crew's eyes were fixed on their stations, fingers poised over controls, ready to react at a moment's notice. Elena's mind raced through countless scenarios, each decision weighted with the potential for peace or catastrophic conflict. She had hoped diplomacy would prevail, but the galaxy often favored the language of power, and the Invictus was Earth's lexicon. Open a channel to the Kralaxian flagship, Elena commanded, her voice cutting through the thick air of anticipation that filled the bridge. Channel open, Captain, responded the communications officer, his hand hovering over the console. This is Captain Elena Myrov of the Earthship Invictus. We recognize your approach and wish to resolve this situation peacefully. We are prepared to withdraw from Kralaxian space, provided our safety can be guaranteed, she stated, her words broadcast into the void, a lifeline thrown across the expanse. The reply came moments later, the Kralaxian Admiral Zyrel Voss appearing on the screen. His features were sharp, his eyes a piercing contrast against his scaled skin, reflecting a lifetime of military rigor. Captain Myrov, your presence here is not just an intrusion but a provocation. Withdraw immediately, and we will escort you to the border. Any deviation from this course will be met with force, he declared, his tone as cold as the space that separated their ships. Understood, Admiral. We will comply with your terms, Elena replied, maintaining her composure. Helm, prepare a course for the nearest neutral zone. Engage at my command. As the Invictus began its slow pivot away from the Kralaxian fleet, Elena kept her eyes on the viewer, watching every move of the Kralaxian ships. The bridge was silent, save for the low hum of the engines and the occasional beep of the instruments. Suddenly, a junior officer at the sensor station turned sharply towards Elena. Captain, I'm picking up energy spikes from the Kralaxian ships. They're powering weapons. Elena's heart raced. Shields up. Prepare evasive maneuvers, she barked, her calm demeanor giving way to the urgency of the moment. The Invictus shuddered slightly as its shields powered to life, enveloping the ship in a protective embrace. The Kralaxian fleet, like a pack of predators sensing weakness, tightened their formation. Energy weapons glowed ominously along their hulls, a silent threat that spoke louder than any words could. Hold fire. Maintain course, Elena instructed, her voice steady. Let's not escalate unless absolutely necessary. The Invictus moved cautiously, its path a delicate dance of diplomacy and defense. Every crew member was acutely aware that the safety of their ship, and potentially the start of a broader conflict, hung in the balance. Captain, the Kralaxians are holding their fire but continue to track us with targeting systems, reported Lieutenant Harrow, his eyes glued to the sensor readouts. Elena nodded, her mind a whirlwind of strategy and scenarios. Keep me updated on any changes. If they fire, I want to know the instant before. Minutes stretched into what seemed like hours as the Invictus continued its retreat. Finally, the Kralaxian ships began to fall back, their weapon systems powering down as the Invictus moved out of their immediate territory. Elena let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Maintain alert status until we're clear of Kralaxian space. Inform me immediately of any changes. As the Invictus finally cleared the contested zone, the crew allowed themselves a moment of cautious relief. The immediate threat had passed, But the encounter left a clear message. The galaxy was a tapestry of tensions and power plays, and Earth was now a part of that delicate weave. Elena stood at the helm, watching the stars that once seemed beacons of hope now shimmering with the cold light of reality. The journey was far from over, and the path ahead promised to be fraught with as many dangers as opportunities. The Invictus glided through the star-speckled void, retreating from Kralaxian territory with the tension of the recent standoff still lingering like a ghost in the corridors. Captain Elena Myrov felt the weight of each decision, the gravity of the near conflict pressing down upon her shoulders as she pondered the road ahead. The ship was safe for now, but the galaxy was a chessboard, and the pieces were moving rapidly. In the relative calm following their escape, Elena initiated a series of clandestine communications with other alien races within the Galactic Union. These were species that had expressed a silent nod of approval towards Earth's rise but remained wary of the Kralaxian hegemony. Each diplomatic exchange was a delicate dance, Elena offering a vision of mutual prosperity and strategic alliances, while gauging the depth of their fears and ambitions. "Captain, we have secured a private comm channel with the Athonian Council. They are ready to talk," Lieutenant Harrow informed her, breaking the silence of the dimly lit conference room. "Good. Let's see if we can turn the tide in our favor," Elena responded, her voice a mix of determination and fatigue. The screen flickered to life, revealing the Athonian delegates, their features marked by the serene, almost translucent quality of their skin and the subtle glow of their eyes. "Captain Myrov, we greet you in peace," the lead delegate began, his voice echoing softly. "We have observed your recent encounters. It is troubling to witness such tensions rise." "Indeed, it is. But it also presents us with an opportunity," Elena replied, her tone diplomatic yet direct. "The Kralaxians have long dictated the balance of power in this sector. Perhaps it's time for a change, a new alliance that can ensure stability and peace." The Athonians exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable, yet the flicker of interest was undeniable. Elena knew she had piqued their curiosity. The Athonians were scholars and historians, valuing stability and knowledge over conquest. "Our interest in stability aligns with your proposition, Captain. However, the risks are considerable. What assurances can Earth offer against a possible backlash?" another delegate asked, his tone cautious but intrigued. Elena leaned forward, her eyes locked on the delegates. Support from the Athonians would not go unnoticed. In return, Earth can offer technological sharing, especially in energy and defense sectors. Together, we could present a united front that even the Kralaxians would hesitate to challenge. The negotiations continued, stretching into hours as they delved into specifics. Agreements were drafted, strategies formed, and by the end of the communication, a tentative alliance was in place, a silent pact that could shift the power dynamics in the galaxy. As the Invictus resumed its journey, now towards a neutral assembly space for further diplomatic talks, Elena convened her senior staff. The atmosphere in the room was a blend of cautious optimism and the ever-present shadow of future challenges. "We've secured a preliminary agreement with the Athonians and potentially a few others," Elena announced, scanning the room. "This doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. The Kralaxians will be watching, and they won't take this lightly. We need to be vigilant, prepared for both diplomatic and military engagements." Commander Tyrell nodded, his expression grim but resolved. "We'll double-check all systems and run combat drills. If the Kralaxians come knocking, we'll be ready." Meanwhile, the Invictus approached the designated assembly space, a well-known neutral zone frequented by various diplomatic ships and traders. The area was bustling with activity, a vibrant testament to the galaxy's diversity. Here, amidst the myriad ships and fleeting alliances, the Invictus stood as a beacon of Earth's aspirations. As the ship docked, Elena prepared to lead her team to the assembly. Each step towards the gathering was a step into the intricate ballet of galactic diplomacy. The upcoming meetings would require all her acumen and might set the stage for the next era of interstellar relations. "Let's go make history," Elena murmured to her reflection in her quarters, straightening her uniform. With a deep breath, she stepped out, ready to navigate the complex web of politics and power. The galaxy was watching, and Earth's voice would be heard. The neutral assembly space was a floating metropolis in the void, a hub of diplomacy and trade, its sprawling structure reflecting the myriad facets of galactic civilization. As the Invictus nestled into its berth among a tapestry of spacecraft from across the universe, Captain Elena Myrov and her delegation prepared to disembark, their uniforms crisp against the backdrop of their monumental vessel. Elena's heart was a drumbeat of resolve as she led her team through the airlock and into the bustling concourse of the assembly. The area thrummed with the languages of 100 worlds, delegates moving in streams of vibrant fabric and shimmering scales, feathers and flesh melding in a dance of cosmic diversity. Their destination was the Grand Chamber, a vast, domed hall designed to accommodate the galaxy's multitude. As they entered, the noise dimmed, replaced by the solemnity of impending deliberations. The ceiling arched overhead like the night sky, holographic stars twinkling in a simulated cosmos. Captain Myrov, the Galactic Union welcomes Earth's delegation, announced a protocol droid, its voice smooth over the hum of whispered conversations. Elena nodded, her gaze sweeping over the assembly, hundreds of delegates from as many systems, each a player in the galaxy's grand chessboard. The session commenced with the formalities of recognition and respect, each species introducing their delegates in a myriad of tongues. Elena listened, her mind mapping alliances and enmities, the undercurrents of power that flowed beneath the veneer of diplomacy. When it was her turn, Elena stood, her voice carrying clear and steady. Honored members of the Galactic Union, I stand before you as a representative of Earth, a world young in the context of galactic history, but eager to contribute to our shared future. We seek peace and partnership, not conflict and conquest. Her speech was met with a murmur of approval from some, reserved skepticism from others. The Kralaxian delegation, a formidable group with their chitinous armor glinting under the chamber lights, watched her with cold, calculating eyes. The primary discussion focused on the recent tensions in the Alcyone system. The Kralaxian ambassador took the floor, his tone harsh as he painted the Invictus as an aggressor, a disruptor of peace. Elena waited patiently, her rebuttal prepared. When she rose again to speak, her response was not defensive but strategic. We acknowledge the concerns raised by the Kralaxians. However, it is our belief that strength lies not in isolation and intimidation, but in openness and cooperation. The Invictus was never meant as a weapon of war, but as a symbol of Earth's readiness to participate in the galaxy's affairs as a full and responsible member. The debate waxed and waned, arguments and counter-arguments orbiting the central issue of Earth's place in the galaxy. Elena's delegation presented evidence of their peaceful intentions, including offers of technological collaboration and aid. As the hours stretched, back-channel negotiations buzzed, Elena and her team working tirelessly to secure support. The turning point came when several smaller, non-aligned worlds expressed their backing for Earth, swayed by Elena's vision of shared prosperity and mutual security. Finally, the Council prepared to cast their votes, electronic keypads glowing softly in the dim light of the chamber. Elena watched, her breath held, as the results were displayed above: majority support for Earth, a mandate for peace and partnership. The Kralaxian ambassador's mandibles twitched in displeasure, but the verdict was clear. Earth would be welcomed as a full member of the Galactic Union, its rights respected, its responsibilities affirmed. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds, a chorus of approval and dissent mingling in the air. Elena felt a weight lift off her shoulders, a battle won in the war for Earth's place among the stars. As the assembly adjourned, delegates approached to offer congratulations or condolences, depending on their stance. Elena accepted each with grace, knowing this was just the beginning. The real work, building those promised bridges, would start now. Returning to the Invictus, Elena looked back at the assembly space, its lights a beacon in the dark. They had achieved a victory not through firepower, but through the tenacity of diplomacy. The galaxy was watching, indeed, and perhaps now, it saw Earth a little differently. The Invictus hung silently against the backdrop of stars, its hull reflecting the faint glow of the distant suns. Inside, the mood was one of subdued celebration mixed with the exhaustion of diplomatic victory. Captain Elena Myrov stood alone in her quarters, gazing out at the endless expanse of space. The stars seemed to shimmer with new light, each one possibly a new friend or a future challenge. The recent vote in the Galactic Union marked a turning point, not just for her or the Invictus, but for all of Earth. They were now full members, their seat at the table confirmed, their voice to be heard. But with this new status came new responsibilities and new dangers. Elena turned away from the window, her thoughts shifting to the work ahead. The alliances they had begun to forge would need nurturing. The technologies they had offered would need sharing. And the suspicions they had started to allay would need further addressing. Earth was stepping onto the galactic stage at a run, and there was no slowing down now. She left her quarters, her footsteps echoing softly in the corridor as she made her way to the bridge. The crew was busy at their stations, monitoring systems and communications, the normalcy of their routines a stark contrast to the monumental changes occurring outside the ship. "Captain on the bridge," announced Commander Tyrell, standing up straighter as Elena approached. "As you were," she replied, her eyes scanning the room, meeting the gazes of her crew. Each face reflected a mix of pride and apprehension, mirroring her own feelings. "Set a course for Earth," Elena commanded, her voice resonant and clear. "It's time we brought our report home." The journey back to Earth was quiet, the ship's engines humming softly as it cut through the vacuum of space. Elena spent the time preparing her report for the United Earth government, detailing the negotiations, the agreements, and the challenges they had faced. She also outlined the steps Earth would need to take to fulfill its new obligations and the strategies they might employ to protect their interests among the stars. As Earth came into view, a blue and green jewel floating in the black sea of space, a sense of profound responsibility settled over Elena. They were returning not as the crew of an exploratory military ship, but as heralds of Earth's new status as a recognized power in the galaxy. The Invictus entered Earth's orbit, and communications were established with the planetary government. "This is Captain Elena Myrov of the Invictus, requesting permission to dock and debrief," she transmitted, her heart beating a little faster. "Permission granted, Captain Myrov," came the reply, the voice warm with welcome. "Congratulations on your successful mission. We are eager to hear of your achievements." As the Invictus docked at the International Space Station, Elena and her crew were met with fanfare. Government officials, media, and the public crowded the viewing galleries, eager to welcome the heroes of the hour. Elena stepped forward to address the assembly, her crew lined up behind her. "Today, we stand before you not just as representatives of Earth, but as members of a larger community," Elena began, her voice carrying over the crowd. "The challenges we faced were significant, but so too are the opportunities ahead. We must be wise, be brave, and above all, be ready. For now, we are not just inhabitants of Earth, we are citizens of the galaxy." The crowd erupted in applause, the sound echoing through the station, out into space, and back to the Invictus, standing ready for its next journey. As Elena looked out over the faces before her, her thoughts were with the future. There would be more negotiations, more diplomacy, more decisions that could tip the balance of power. But for now, Earth had a voice, and it would be heard.